I'm Cybermind. Welcome to the video. I hope this is okay. Just trying to adjust my mic a little bit. Okay. So in this video, we're going to go over a few things. We're going to go over things like custom actions and custom items. I'm going to go over other sheet customizations that you can do that might come up whilst you're playing. There's quite a lot that you can customize on the sheet directly, and it can help. The first thing we're probably going to go over would be the custom actions and custom items, just because they're the most powerful features that you can use. You can use them for a lot of things. They will cover things like custom mundane equipment. You can do custom ammunition. You can do custom weapons. For example, if you wanted to do like a dagger that did like 2d4 damage, you can do that. The only other alternative to using those would be to use the magic item creator. Unfortunately, that's not always the best case scenario. So it kind of depends on what you want to create. Sometimes it's easier to just get a magic item and then just change its name or customize it to wherever you want it to be. But for those instances where either you don't want it to be a magic item for whatever reason, or it's not going to be suitable because there's nothing that does what you want easily, we do have custom actions and custom items to help with that. Apologize if I'm talking a bit quieter than normal. This is like 6:40 a.m., so I don't want to speak too loud and wake up my neighbors. Okie dokie. The first thing first is go over the pros and cons of using custom actions and items, because there are some cons. What's a very powerful ability to use on your sheet? It's has some downsides. For example, it is only for your sheet. It's not something that you can then make it once and have it apply to any other characters that you make, or have something that the DM creates for all the players to be able to take. It is only for your one sheet. So if you have multiple characters that want to make use of whatever it is you're making, or if you're a DM or you have multiple players, it's going to be a bit tedious because everyone with a sheet is going to have to make it custom each time, once per character at least. They are working on a mundane item maker. They are and similar type of things and mundane weapons and stuff. At the moment, it's going to be a low priority just because they are working on other things like custom general features thing, which is going to improve other things like epic boons and spell points and all those other type of stuff. It's a big project. It's going to change a lot of the background architecture, which means that they have to try and implement it without breaking other things because everything is connected to it. So it'll be a while before we get it. But in the meantime, we do have this option. It's not always going to be ideal, but it's something that you can do. In the meantime, it's not that difficult to use once you know how. And to be fair, it's still better than pen and paper. So it's a lot better than pen and paper, to be fair, because you can have it do all its automatic calculations and have things and roll things and stuff like that. I briefly covered custom actions when it comes to like rolling extra damage. To have an extra thing here, so that if you're using the dice roller on the sheet, you could just click it and make it easier for yourself. This is for things like extra damage to flame tongues. Hopefully, if I've done this right, there should be like a card popping up somewhere in the top right corner. That can take you to that if that's more what you needed. But this is going to go into custom actions in a bit more details, as well as custom items, which is also useful, and other customizations that you can do on the sheet whilst you're playing, and keep track of more things that most people don't know about, and maybe a few tips and tricks here and there. There's quite a lot of benefits because you do have quite a lot to customize. You have a lot of options available to you in custom actions and custom items, where you can make any type of weapon you could want, any type of item you can want. you can more or less make it here. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the custom items first of all, just because it's the simplest and easiest of the lot between them. It's just a basic character, first level. So this is a wizard. He has chromatic orb, and you can see it says a diamond worth at least 50 GP. There is no such thing as a diamond in the game that you can just add that's going to be 50 GP. So we can, if we want to track our spell components, we can just create that component as a custom item. So if we go into our inventory, and then manage inventory, we can then go to here where it says custom item, and then it gives us a bunch of options. So we can choose the cost. In this particular case, we are going with 50 gold. In the weight, we don't really know how much a diamond would weigh. As long as the DM's okay, you can just leave it blank. I'll put in £1 because I just sits there. But it's up to you if you want to fill it in or not, depending on what the item is. Obviously, these are custom items, so you talk to your GM or DM about this, and they will tell you what it weighs, what it costs, what's it called, notes. Ooh, this come off. Manage inventory. Where are we? Come back. There we go. That's my fault. So obviously we want to give it a name. In this case, we'll just say diamond. I'm going to put in the cost here, just because diamonds come in all shapes and sizes in the game, and therefore could have all sorts of costs. Obviously, if you didn't know what the cost would be, you just leave it at 0. If you had something that had a static cost, obviously you wouldn't need to put the thing here. And here, I'm going to put in notes. So notes can be anything you want it to be that's going to be helpful to you. Personally, for components, I put in spell component, and I also tend to put in which spell it's going to be a component for, in which case this would be chromatic orb. In the description, we can just put in a basic description of what it is. We could also put in any other notes, like where you found it, where you bought it, where you got it from. It's also good to be able to describe things that you don't know about. For example, if you get a key, but you don't know where it's going to be, you put in like a mysterious key, and then your description would be mysterious key found in wherever you found it from. And then once you do find out what it unlocks, you can then update the description and details whenever you need to. In this case, we are just going to assume that this was 50 GB diamond. I keep spelling it as diamond. I don't know why. I'm just a bit nervous. 50 GB diamond bought at Mark in made up town because my brain is not working for that. So and down here we then add it. So we can choose to add it to our equipment, which is what you have on person, or in this case a backpack, since I do have a backpack on my character. There you go. So here we have quantity. You can either up it this way or that way, or you can add it this way and that way. Yeah. Oh, it sort of took us into the thing. I'm getting ahead of myself. So once it's made, it will give you the option to go into a thing. If we go into our backpack, there it is, diamond. So if we open this up, this is where we can change the quantity. So we can choose how many we have. And one good thing about the custom items is even if we set it to 0, which means its weight won't apply, it has no cost, it's still there. So if we were to go out and then go back in, go back to equipment, our backpack is still on there, but we can see that its quantity is 0, so we still don't have it in our possession until we find it again. We can just add it in. Now this is good if you have something that's consumable, like a special arrow or anything like that. That way you don't have to recreate it each time. You can still set it to 0 and leave it fine. All works out. That's basically just custom items. It's good. It's simple. It does what it is. It's great for spellcasters to keep track of the components that have a cost. As I said, we can create all sorts of notes that appear here. It is spiffy. The reason why I did that first, because now the next one we can do is custom actions, and the first thing I want to go over would be something like a weapon. We can't really track, you can equip the custom items, but you don't really need to. Like the only purpose you have of ticking the boxes down here is if you wanted to have any relevant actions it has appear in here. Like weapons will appear attack only when it's equipped. Like dagger. Once we check to equip it, this is when it will appear in our actions. So it's not something you really need to own weapons. You tend to know whether it's going to be on your person, accessible to you or not. There's no real reason to have a weapon on you and not use it. So you can also just change the name to say equipped or not equipped in the actions if you wanted to. So what we're going to do is we are going to consider creating a weapon. So let's say we have a sword that did 2d6 damage. And just a normal, mundane sword. Nothing magical about it. We can, just to be able to track whether we actually have it or not, we could always create a custom item if we needed to. So go into manage inventory, we can then, this will be an equipment, not our thing. We can add custom item. We don't need to worry about cost because it's not something we're going to sell. I suppose we can put in, I don't know, what's happened here? Sorry, I pressed something weird, but we're back. All good, all good. Yay, awesome. Manage equipment, add custom item. Add custom item 1, let's just default name. So we're just going to say, I can't ask to think of a name, so we're just going to say special sword. What's it cost? It costs, we'll say 5 gold. I have no idea if these are the right things. Also, you'll be checking your DM for these details on how much it costs, because you probably just had to buy it, how much it weighs, and you probably compare that to other actual items. So anyway, just say notes. Don't really need notes to be fair. It's fairly simple. So we could just say we can use notes to say if it's equipped or not. Let's see. Specials rated. Slashing sword, just for all the S's. That deals 2d6 damage. That's a bit redundant, but you get the point. This would be equipment, because it's something we would have on our person. We're saying it's equipped, so it would be there. That's just so that we know that we have it on our person. Obviously, if we ever needed to change it, we can always update whatever we needed to here. So what we can do now is the action. So this is something that we can tell our sheet and have something that can roll, or just have something display and more easily appear. So we will start with manage custom, which is here and here. Now, I don't know if you can see this on the yeah, because last time I did one of these, it didn't show the options. So in case it can't, and I can't tell if it does or not. So in case it can't, the options are general, spell, and weapon. The idea of these is that it will streamline the options a bit. It doesn't really make much of a difference. A lot of the times you get the same type of options anyway. And even if you choose something like spell, it won't appear in your spell list. It's just so I don't really know what the differences are, to be fair. In this case, I chose weapon, and you can see what it shows here. I think it has just options because if you choose like weapon, it will have things like attack type and basic normal things for weapons, like affected by martial arts. That might not appear if you choose spell. It doesn't matter. You can also choose general, which just has all of the options at all. So it's fine. So if you're using a weapon, the attack type is going to be something that is going to be like a natural weapon or unarmed strike. It is neither. It's just a basic normal weapon. So we're going to leave that blank. Range is to choose whether it's going to be a melee attack or a ranged attack. Obviously, you leave blank if it's not an attack. This, in case, is a melee weapon. The stat would be the stat that you use. So, for example, this is one of the things you can choose something that's a little bit different than normal, like a weapon that is based off a stat that's not normal. For example, if you wanted to create a weapon that was based off charisma because it's a magic item, because it's got a little enchantment, or because it's intelligence, just because it's something that requires more intelligence to use rather than your basic thing. Um, this is also a way to create even if it's like a magic weapon, the normal magic item creator may not allow you to create an action to apply, even if you choose a weapon. Because if you choose a magic weapon to make using the main builder, it will lock you into the same stats and stuff that you would normally use for a weapon. So custom actions are a way of getting around that. You can literally choose whatever stat you want. So for this case, we're going to go with strength, but you can use any stat. Dice count and dice type will of course be the damage. You're doing 2d6 in this case. I chose 4 action, 2d6. One thing that it's going to do is sometimes when you fill in ones like these that have little arrows, it doesn't always update properly unless you tab. So something like this is better on the PC than mobile. I've actually tried the mobile app for this, so we'll see how that goes. Fixed value is going to be a basic bonus. For example, if you were using this to create a very customized magic item that had a +1 bonus, you could put it in here. But this, I think it only applies to the damage though, I'm afraid. Damage type. You see all the different types. You can choose that, a weapon that does lightning damage instead of normal. We're going with a basic weapon here, so we're going to choose slashing. Save type would be if you had either an effect that would be applied. For example, you could choose it's like a poison, maybe. Then obviously you would make it a con save whenever they get attacked by it. We don't have it in this case for this weapon, but it is something that would happen. And the fix of save DC would be if you want it to be based off of a particular number. So, like with amongst items that have these weapons, um, that would be a static figure rather than based off on one of your own like spell save DCs because it's not. This is not listed as a spell. Um, so we'll get to that. Range, we can pretty much just leave blank because we have chosen melee, so we don't need to choose range. Range would be if you had a ranged attack. Um, that would be the short range. And this is the long range. You'll notice that like bows, they tend to have one value than the other value. The short range and long range. Uh, Long range means you can still attack at that distance, but it'd be disadvantage unless you have sharpshooter. This is a melee weapon, so we can leave this blank. AoE type would be if this had some sort of area effect type instead of being a standard attack. Then obviously we could choose this here just so it reminds us on the sheet what the area effect is. This has no area effect, it's just a basic weapon attack. We can leave that alone. Similar to the size, that we only use a size if it's like here, so we can choose, 5 foot line, whatever. So we're going to be doing those. Activation type. Uh, Here we have action, no action, bonus, reaction, minute, hour, or special. Um, this is the action thing. Weapon attacks are normally an action. Even if it's an extra attack, it's still your attack action. So today's action is not really filling in there, but it's in there. And it'll be one here because it takes one action. Obviously, you could recreate a spell instead here and choose like 1 minute activation time or whatever. But we're going to go with activation of an action. We're going to say that we are proficient with this. This isn't going to be a martial arts weapon, so there's no point putting that there. We can choose if it's silvered or not here, just so that we would be able to check for our reference. Doesn't really do anything on the sheet. And displays attack is an important one. That's what makes it appear in our actions list here as an attack. And then we can choose weapon. So this is the special weapon. Let's see. We could copy the descriptions and snippets here. I'm not going to. I don't think it needs to happen. Yeah, that should be it. So if we leave here, so we'd have the name here. We've got the list here. This is obviously based on my strength, and I'm a wizard, so strength is -1. But there's something we can just click and roll, so we can make our attack. That goes as loud. And if we had it, that'd be the damage. And that's listed to 1d6. Why is it listed to 1d6? Hang on. It's not updated. That's my fault. I forgot to put it to 2. My apologies. There we go. Now there's 2. So let's see other type of things we can make. For example, if we go into the manage custom again, and then take a look at spell. So let's see. Let's say this is just a. What do we do with this? We can say. I don't know. I don't really know what to put. I'm trying to come up with something. I don't know what to put. We'll just say. Let's see. I don't know. Called it out. For some reason, something is giving you the ability to magically create an art and send it. We'll put it as a range attack. It's going to be based on intelligence because it's a spell and it's a spellcaster. That's wizard. We'll put it as. So we'll say that this is 3d6 gold, and then we can say that it has a Constitution save. Spell range type would be range. We'll say 90 feet. We're not going to bother with the AoE type, it's not an AoE, it's an attack and with an effect. And again, this would be an action. 1. Affect it will spread attack and the proficient. So here we say it's article that of ice and cold. Oh, bigger. Where's the tag? Here's the target in against the pages. Oh no, it does. And they just see on our content against spells. I don't know if we'll actually link to the spell save DC. I've never done this part for spell before. Spell save DC. I'll have their speed reduced to 0. Once used, cannot be used again until the short or rest. So what we can now do, I hate it when it does that. Edit, thank you. Oop. Okay. And what we're going to do here is we're going to put a note. For custom actions, the notes field won't populate with what you need. So here I'm going to put 1 per. I'm going to space out. And then put not yours. So what I can do, because that's created, it will show here. Looks a bit funky. You can obviously change that stuff around. And again, I have messed up because I'm tired. 3. There we go. I have to keep doing that. So there we go. This is based off our intelligence, so you can see that's +3 there. So if we were to click this, it tells us here. Can't save 13. Is my spell save 13? It is. It actually links. Yay! So I think it links to the stat used for the attack stuff, which is great. And you can see it says it there as well to remind us. So it is there. It'll also be here. You can see it here in attack, but it doesn't give us the details under actions. It should do like here. Because we just made it custom, there is no use button. As I said, it's not going to be used here. So this is why I put it into the title, because what I can do, obviously, is we can edit that so we know whether it's been used or not. You can also use the. You can actually use emojis in there if you wanted to. Like there might be like a check mark, I think, emoji. Let's see if there is. I have no idea if this is appearing on screen or not. But if I try and check, it won't show up. Is there a check? I'm sure there's a tick mark somewhere, isn't there? Like a check mark. Oh, symbols should be under here somewhere. This is something you can also do. You can use symbols. They should show up. Ah, there we go. So maybe if we leave, it shows up. So then that we can see using those emojis or the word whether we've actually used it or not. Whether you're going to likely use it for a spell, I don't know. It might be some boon you received or something. It's just to show that you can do all sorts of different things using it. I feel like we always add one from general. We can do pretty much anything we wanted to with it. So you get a lot of actions, a lot of options you can do. For example, we can make like special arrows. So let's say, for example, obviously we got our bow separate. So this would be something that we can just click and roll for our arrows. So you don't need to have, it's not an attack. We just want to have a special arrow that will deal 2. Why are you not going up? Why is that? Why is dev script? Look, hang on. Okay, let's not work now. Oh, okay, you need to set the die type. Okay. Is that what I was doing wrong before? Okay. Oh, there you go. So let's see. One thing you can't do is have like a bonus based off a stat. That's something you can't really do. You can't have 2d8 and then a fixed value. Because I think stat is based off of the strength. Some to a weapon, you know. But anyway, we have it do 2d8. We can then have it do, say, lightning. And then say that if they don't succeed on a con save, let's have it do poisoning damage. Hang on, let's make it a poison arrow. Going to fix safety C, we can put in. Let's say it's going to be a 13. The range doesn't matter because it's based off the bow. We don't have an AoE. Again, we'll use action. One action not affected. We don't need to bother with proficiency because it's not based off of proficiency. But it displays attacks, so it shows. We put in here poisoned arrows. We're going to copy this because we're going to make this an item to keep track of inventory. Special poison arrows. On hit deals additional 2d8 poison damage. And if target is a creature, it must succeed on a con save DC 13 will be poisoned for 1 minute. So let's copy that there. Let's copy that. So we do have poison arrows here. And again, it should tell us here the details. We can also just literally just click on it. If we always want to keep track of how many we have, we could do something similar here where we actually keep the track in the title. So we could say how many we've got left here. If you wanted to, or you can just make a custom item like we did before. A custom item that went wrong. Shows us during the day. Who's knows? Nope, we didn't need notes or anything. Might be better for us to copy the same thing as here. Jeez, it's easier for us to. Actually add in here. No. Okay. Here we go. So add custom item. Poison arrows. Let's say they cost 2 gold each. Okay. Add the item to. So now I should be able to go into our equipment. It should be in here somewhere. Ah, there we are. Custom hours. So obviously here we can say we've got 10. Obviously we'd have to manually keep track of these. So every time we do use the arrow, you'd have to edit it to edit the quantity back down, which is why I prefer making it here rather than having to literally edit the name and typing it in. But still easier than pen and paper. Let's say that's how you do custom actions and custom items. There's a lot of things that you can do with those. I haven't made the best examples because I didn't really think about what examples to show. But that's a lot that you can do with them for whatever you need it to do. Anything you need to roll, anything you need to keep track of. There's some ways. As I said before, the best way to use custom items is things like spell components, mystery items, and you can update them as you need and as you play through. You can also, during the new thing, you can also go to other possessions and just type in stuff here. I've got a quill. So that's another way. If you can't be bothered to fill in the boxes, it's not something you need to have that accurate tracking, then other possessions will probably just serve you. Like we say, you've got a quill here because you don't need to track that you've got that quill. Even though a quill or a write or a pen is actually in game, it is an item you can just add in game. The game also added just here as a quill because it's not really something you need to bother tracking. This is also a good place to put things that are not in a container that you can use. For example, it's like you can put that's in your castle, in the wagon, whatever, stuff like that. And that's custom actions. Probably didn't explain it the best way, but hopefully it shows you what you can do with it and what some of the things you can do. You can replicate all sorts of things. If for whatever reason the homebrew tools for magic items and stuff aren't going to be useful for you, there's something you can do. So if you wanted a longsword that did 2d10 damage based off of wisdom, you can just make that for your sheet. And that is the custom action items. There's also a lot of other what we call ad hoc customizations you can do on your sheet. These again are customizations that only affect your sheet and only when you need them to be in effect. We can start with things like your stats. So for whatever reason, you can just go into your stats, click the stats on the top here, And then you can either choose an other modifier, which is just a bonus or a penalty. So let's say that for some reason our character is especially weak. Um, yeah, our score is now going down to 6, which just gives us a -2 penalty. So yeah, or we can choose instead to override score. I think you have to be careful with override score. Is if you put a 0, it will set that score to 0. So if you want your score to be what it should be based on what you've entered into the character builder, then leave it blank, not 0. That's a common mistake some people make. But for example, if there's something like an item or a boon or whatever that is going to change our score to say 12, no matter what, if we enter in, you can override, it happens here. So that's something we can do. You can just change stats as needed. We can't change proficiency bonus. We can change things like walking speed. For example, you can choose to override your speeds in case something is giving you something extra, like something had decided to give you a +5 walking bonus. We can put +5, and then in the sorts or notes, we can say where it's coming from. So we can say that, let's say, for example, boon from XYZ. God, I can't think of names. But at least there we have the note that our walking speed. Sorry, because this is a override, not a bonus. Then our bonus is now at 35. We can say in here +5, boom, so that we know it's actually adding +5 dot. Here we can also choose which movements to display. For example, if you had 60-foot flying from moving or flying, the ODM I've given you, you now have flying speed, but it will only display one speed here because there's not much room for displaying the rest. We can then just set it to a flying speed. Yeah, because let's be honest, it's faster, so you'd pretty much always be using it. So that's something you can do. We could customize, let's see what else. We can customize our HP. So you also can use this box to quickly add or 5 damage. Yeah. We can quickly add in temp HP here, tab out, and we got that 10 HP. Which all works swiftly. But we can also just outright add a more permanent modifier. So let's say something is giving us a +5 HP. This is a good way of doing things. There are creatures that have like a stat drain or something that can drain your maximum HP. This is a way to have that on your sheet. So you could have it be, I don't know if it's minus. Let's see. Yeah, this is something that can then literally add in your change here. You can, or just set it to a specific score, like say 12. There you go. So yeah. That's HP. Pretty nifty one for other things. AC. Customize. So we can either choose to override just whatever's in here is what your AC will be no matter what. This is to override the base armor index. So your base armor index would be 10 plus your dexterity. So in this case, it would be 13. But overriding base armor and dex rather than overriding AC is because overriding base armor plus dex is your unarmored um, bonus. So if you were to add in something that sets your AC to, like, say, 18, because of plate mail, it would override whatever you put in here. Because this is just your unarmored defense. This is your just your 10 plus dex. So if you have an AC calculation that offers something more, like a plate mail that does 18, um, yeah, that would actually override this. If you needed a more set override, not so you'd use that. Additional magic bonus is as a here, so if this is just a bonus that applies to both. If we put in 2 here, um, it adds it on here. A good use of this would be a +3. Like you could put this 2+5 shield spell just for whatever, say it's a long round in combat. And if you use the shield spell to give you +5 AC to your next turn, this is something you can use so you know your AC is actually, in this case, 18. Um, I usually don't bother with that, I can just remember it, but still, it's there. We also have additional miss bonus. They work the same, I think. This is just so that you could have two different sources of bonus. One from magic bonus, one from some other source, which could also be magic, I suppose. You do have the option to enter in where you get that source from. So something you could do would be something like override base armor dex if you have mage armor. So in this case, your mage armor, um, yeah. So with your mage armor, which adds +3, um, with your dex, we'll make it 16. So you put in 16 here. That's wrong. 1/6. Then here we can put in mage armor. Yeah, I know this is the UK spelling. Don't at me. But in here we can then put in the 5 from shield if you've used it. I don't care about spelling. And I'll show that our AC is actually now 21. So nifty customizations for anything that's going to adjust your armor class on a specific basis or for particular reasons. That's a good way of making it adjusted. Or maybe there's some sort of effect that is applied to your character that affects your armor or reduces it, something. You use that. We now have defenses. This character is an ace so he's got necrotic and radiant resistance, but we can always add something. We can't remove a resistance that it already has, but we can add new ones. We can add resistance and immunity or vulnerability. So let's say we have some sort of a boon. It's given us resistance to fire. Um, and here we get into a source note. Boon from fire god. I keep using this generic. But now we have fire. Yay. Um, the same thing would be for immunities and vulnerabilities. They don't apply to your sheet in any other way other than just giving you this little note here to remind you. Conditions. You can see here we've got all the different the main conditions that this has, as well as tracking the exhaustion levels. Things like exhaustion levels and powers, they don't do much to your sheet. It doesn't. For example, being restrained won't automatically apply disadvantage to your attack rolls. Um, being partly exhausted won't apply disadvantages to your skill checks, but will make reference if we say we've got that, and that we are also, for whatever reason, currently poisoned. Also, you can also click the arrows to give you what that condition does or means. In this case, poison creature has disadvantage on attack rolls and skill and ability checks. So obviously, if we were, it doesn't do it automatically. So I'm just going to give an example. If we were to click that kind of, it is just going to be ready to roll. So obviously you would have to roll it normally. You can right click the roll part and then choose, say, disadvantage and roll. So as you can see there, it gives you the disadvantage. And I don't know if it would actually. It does reset to the normal, just in case. But yes, you got these. And you just turn it off and put that back to the 0. No. So those little things keep you track of. Nothing too big there. Domestic conditions, saving throws. We can do saving throws here. So you can create 2 customizations. You can click on the saving throw to change. Let's say saving throw customization. So we can choose to simple approach to override it entirely, add a magic bonus, add a miscellaneous bonus, similar to the AC. We can also change the proficient level. Not proficient means that the proficiency bonus half proficient. I'm saying that wrong. Means that you would have half your proficiency bonus rounded down. So it would be 2. If you had a proficiency bonus of 3, it would still be. So if you have a proficiency bonus of 2, it'll add a 1, which you can see here, which sets it to 0 because I had a -1 here. If we were at proficiency bonus 3, it would still be a 1 because it's rounded down, unless it says otherwise. You can't do the rounded up here. But we could also just put proficient. Or expertise. So you can always change that, and also you can change edit notes here, and you can do that for all of them. You can take a quick look here. Your changes won't affect the saving throw modifiers here, so even if you were to put yeah, although it shows here, it will show blue in this case, so you know that it's been customized, but it won't show here. So this message here, which says saving throw modifiers, that's only for official things. So for like an actual magic item, or from your race, or from the background, or whatever it is, that's going to affect your saving throws. It will list them here with bonus, penalty, or advantage, disadvantage. It won't show your customizations, but then you don't really need to. I didn't mean to click that. But it does say here that it's been customized, and you can always check in here where you're getting that bonus from. So it's not a big deal. What's next on my list? First conditions going through senses. Oh, right, yes, senses. Yeah, you don't see it on screen, but I actually have a little list that I've wanted to go through. This is getting rather long, so I do apologize. I will put chapters in this, so hopefully it won't be too long. I used to adjust on my bed. There we go. Yeah, well, I'm a laptop. I will come to bed. Senses where you can actually customize everything about the senses. So you can choose to override anything. So if you wanted to override your passive perception for whatever reason and make it say 15, well, I'll just put it in test here, and then give ourselves 10 feet tremor sense test, and then we can see it. That's changed and then changed there. So obviously, when you're looking, if you did want to find out where you're getting it from, click and your notes appear here. It's a good way of. I hate when it does that. I hate when it does that. I think that's my browser. Because I don't like this. Is why I don't like Chrome very much. Come on. Here we go. So yeah. You should be able to actually override things. So for example, I think we should be able to just put in, if we put in 30, yeah. These are overrides rather than bonuses, so that allows us to override whatever. So if we got something that says in this particular area, vision, including dark vision, is halved, we can put that. We can change that there. So there actually are places in some campaigns, in some adventure modules where like your dark vision is going to be halved or reduced. So it is good to be able to adjust them as you need to. There's more proficiencies. Okay. So about the proficiencies, I don't mean the skills. I just mean these ones over here. So we could have proficiencies. Um, so here you can add proficiencies for your armor, um, weapon, tool, or language from official sources. I'm going to choose a weapon for one because this is a special one. If you have the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, they have in their uh, what's called Pride Silk outfit. D&D Beyond, due to the way they have it set up, have to have it listed as a sort of an armor, even though technically it's not armor, which means that everyone is normally proficient with it. It's just clothing that has the same benefits as leather armor. Um, Everyone is automatically proficient with it, but because the system can't have you be automatically proficient with something that gives you an AC calculation like armor does, D&D Beyond has to list it as an armor. Um, and even though you might have proficiency with leather armor or whatever, because that doesn't qualify a specific type of armor, you'd have to manually add the proficiency if you wanted to make use of Pride Silk. Um, so G, so that is a trick to use just in case. It'll add that proficiency to your armor there, um, which is not a big deal. More proficiencies. Let's have a look. So, and obviously you can choose an existing tool or existing language. So let's say we wanted to choose thieves tools. I'm going to add this for a particular reason. We're going to say, I don't know, extra PG. Just say, for example, that the DM has allowed you to add this as an extra proficiency from whatever background you might have. Um, um, there you go. This is also useful because in the game you do have the option to add proficiencies to your adventure. There is an option. It's an an optional option for a speech and Xanathar's guide to everything, where your character will learn either proficiency or language over time by finding an instructor and paying them gold. And something that's done during downtime over the course of months. Um, so yeah, you can always just do that. You also have the option to create new or custom ones. So, for example, let's say there's a special tool for what can we say? A toolkit. Yeah, you don't need to put notes every time. So let's just say that your character can now make tattoos using Tattoo Kit. Um, this will display as a normal Tattoo Kit here. Um, if you were to, you can also add a custom language here. And uh, Dash. So we can just add a language here, and it will show up here. If you hover over it, it will give you where you get it from. That's how you add a new language. So if you're making a custom race, like a homebrew race, unfortunately the D&D button doesn't allow you to create a custom language as part of a race. So what you could do is leave the option blank in the race builder, and then come into your character sheet and just add it manually here. So that's something you could do. Example, you can also just add in things like thieves count. If you learned thieves count outside of your background, or thief class or rogue class. Why did I say thief class? I don't know. You can do that. And the next thing would be the skills. So obviously you can click anywhere in here. You can click the individual skill. Say customize, and then you can customize it to choose again either an override, similar to AC, a magic bonus, mystic bonus. You can also change the proficiency level, like we saw with the stats. And then we have skill stat override. I'm actually not sure what that does. Oh, sorry, I do know what that does. So skill stat override is what allows you to change which stat is being used for that skill. So let's say instead of survival being a strength stat, for some reason you're going to use dexterity. Let's say you have a feature that uses dexterity instead. You can now use that. So our survival, just down here, there. It'll show blue there, but now it's just survival +3, and because we have a +3 from our dex, so my -1 from strength. You can also create new skills. So you can click here and choose add custom skill, and here edit, and then we can choose override. If we want to override it, just have a generic number. I don't care. Magic bonuses if they're being applied for whatever reason. Again, a mystic bonus. We've seen that before. The stat here, everything, intelligence. We choose what proficiency we have. Proficient. We'll just say I don't know. Or say you're in a modern campaign, you could put in here like, computers. Modern campaign. Computers. You can see how it can be used for all sorts of things. So if you wanted to have custom skills due to it being a custom campaign that's set in a different time period, like modern or futuristic, it requires additional skills that you wouldn't have in that period of time. Well, here you go, like making cars or something like that. You can put that here. Another useful trick is that if you have a skill similar to like thieves' tools that are more likely to be used like dexterity more than anything else, you can add them here. You don't normally get that just because tools by their nature are going to be more varied in which skill applies. These tools could just as easily be intelligence or strength based, where it's easy to pick a lock to pick, but it just requires a bit more strength because you have to lift something, or it's not a normal lock. You have to, I don't know, lift like a giant padlock instead or something. You can always just call whatever skill you need instead, because it has a more varied nature for skills for tools. Sorry, they don't have it listed here because it's not static. Most of your skills, although they can be changed, in certain circumstances, they mostly use the default skills, whereas tools don't. However, most people will typically use dexterity for the thieves tools. Um, it's also good in case, like, say, if you are expertise in thieves tools and you want to make sure that just to have that on there. Um, this is one way of doing it. So you can put that as dex. You can say expertise. Um, thieves tools. And then you go here. It's here, and then you can just roll it straight away. And also, if you ever did need to change it, you could edit and then just change. Yeah, this is good because proficiency and expertise is based on the skill itself, not on your stats. You never need to worry about much other changes to make. So that's another skill you can use with your skills. That seems a weird phrase to say. The last thing would be feats. Feats are great because if you have a homebrew feat, you can pretty much customize things a lot more easily as well. So if we go to features and traits, excuse me, my seem to be having a bit of a breathing issue. So we've got feats here. Let's say for whatever reason you have been granted an extra feat. So I'll just use the alert feat. I'm just going to choose magic initiate because I'll show you something. So here we can just add in the feat here. If there are options to pick for the feat, you will see this blue icon, this blue exclamation mark. In which case, click the down arrow, and then you get the option, get the ability to make the options choices. Oh, my brain is going weird. So we can then just that's bonus already got. There we go. And I am just clicking these at random. Whatever. And there we go. We now have added the feat in addition. Let's say, for example, that there is a way to choose a feat that you're not normally meeting the prerequisites for. For example, there is a feat for elves, for example. You can change it. So if you click by Simon's character here, your character's name, click manage. I have changed this before to custom demo. For some reason that doesn't seem to change. What was I going to say it? Into preferences. Start here. There we go. Character settings. And that down below. Use prerequisites. So this is for multi-class or feats. Now we're just going to go over the feats. So if we choose to remove this, with this disabled, the sheet will no longer enforce the prerequisite rules for feats. So if we were to go back to our feats, we can now choose things that we normally couldn't before. Let's have a look. I'm trying to find. I was gonna pick like the Fey one, not the newer Fey one. That's for else. I think you have to refresh. Feats, feats, feats. Uh, Something's going wrong here. Isn't there one called like Fey something? But there should also be something like Sniff Neblin, which is like a rock thing. Why is that not saved? So it's going to be awkward. So that should disable. That should enable me to. And what's it called? This is going to be annoying now. The one I wanted to look at that was, see, you got fade away, fade teleportation is what I was thinking of. So it is fade. Why is it not showing up? Feats. Feats. Okay. Right. Well, for some reason, it's not working. I don't know if this is one of those. Okay. Sorry, this is my bad. Unavailable feats. So this is where it's going to show you um, that you tell I don't use this very often. So you can see that these are the ones where your prerequisites are not met, but you still have the option to add them because we changed that, so we can choose to add there. And now we have. Oh, I didn't make a choice. Hang on. You didn't got blue for me. Ah, there you go. Wait up there. There we go. So there we go. So these are all the things you can do, all the ways you can just customize and change things. Apologize for the long video. There's a lot to go through. There's a lot you can change, a lot you can edit. I know this wasn't the most structured of videos, and I do apologize. But I will try and introduce chapters, so it's going to be easier to get to what you want in the video. Hope it helps somebody. Thank you very much.